I got two hands, I got my mouth, I know how to earn money.
She absolutely does. She doesn't miss a trick.
I had to walk the plank going on the ship. Very horrible. Just fall in a little bit for the camera. Just a little bit. Up in the clouds, I'm jealous knowing we found something so wild. We'll be ordinary. You got me kissing the ground, we'll be sanctuary.
Come now and follow me down to the lights of Galway, where there's fine sailors walking.
Baby, only for a hamburger. You come all the way to Vietnam to try a hamburger?
For Susie's wedding day. In season 22, episode 4, Joe was able to walk after tricking and stealing Cleveland's legs. In season 4, episode 30, Joe was able...
Disabled? Never had been. You were wrong about me. I'm not disabled. Never had been.
Eat your vegetables!
Interesting how, for example, certainly in Cebu City, that there is an overabundance of new condos, buildings being built. The market is overflooded as it is. And as such, you would probably think that, well, the prices should be very competitive. They should be down. But that's not really the case. Now, of course, if you watch Amazing Philippines, he does a good job of kind of letting you know what's available and what the prices are. And a lot of these are really, you know, not within reach of the average expat's budget, where some of the better units that are for rent could be 70,000 pesos and above. Now, as he shows, and I've seen personally, I've seen all these buildings that are being built, all new condo buildings, and they're sprawling everywhere over Cebu City. It's Manila too, but since I live in the general Cebu area, talk about Cebu, and I noticed how many condo units are for sale. But are they overbuilding? And why are the prices so high when you've got a very competitive market, which is mind-boggling to me? Why are they buying these condos? Some people are buying for investments, but keep in mind, they still have to pay all the fees every month. So they're sort of kind of losing money, as there are different condo association fees related to the purchase of a condo. So even if you own a condo straight out, sounds great, you own a condo, but you're still going to be paying what might be considered a small rent because of your electric fees and all these condo dues and so forth. So you have to decide whether or not that's a good investment to you or not. Now, the amazing amount of condos being built is mind-boggling because, well, you first think, are there that many people who, number one, want to live in condos in the city, are there that many people that have the deep pockets to buy these condos? Now, I would understand in a slag market that these units are just not being sold, but they are. They are. But there's so many of them that, yes, it is mind-boggling, because maybe there's too many condos and they're just sitting there. And a lot of times there are these units just sitting there and they're not being rented even. Okay, part of the investment situation, I guess. But they're still just sitting there. They're not generating money. In fact, it's costing the owner money because they do still have to pay these dues every month. And I suppose they get shut off their electricity, not have an electric bill. And maybe some people do that. Because I know of many cases when people have been sitting on their condos. It's like a family investment. And because condo values generally go up in price, not down. Nothing goes down. So perhaps it's really for investment purposes. Because there's a lot of people that are not yet quite ready to move to the Philippines. But they want to get in on the market while they can, because they know that the prices are going super high. But the fact is, they're already paying an incredible amount of money to buy these condos to begin with. Those days of cheap condos are over. I was listening to Rod, and he said there was one of these condos that he used to rent for about $1,100 a month that are now probably going for $2,500 to $3,000 a month. Okay, that's over some people's budget. Well, dollars. We're talking dollars, of course, not pesos. And that's over a lot of people's budget to spend that much. But if you got that kind of money, I guess that wouldn't be a problem. Nevertheless, leaving your condo seemingly in perpetuity, emptiness, perpetuity, and just waiting for the market to go sky high and then resell for a profit. Well, if you had that kind of money to buy a condo and you could afford to just leave the unit be and not even rent it out, then you'd probably have no financial worries at all. You could keep that condo and wait till the prices go a lot higher than what your investment was that you put into that condo, which is inclusive of any refurbishing, any newer appliances, any changes you might have met with an older condo, or improved upon what came with a newer type condo to your likings, as far as the furnishings you like, and not maybe settle for what came with the condo as a furnished unit. And as such, leaving your condo unoccupied, well, there's no wear and tear on the unit, and that's a plus. But generally, you got to be in a position where you could afford not to be making any money from that condo, or you're not renting it out. Obviously so, because if they were hurting, they would not spend that kind of money in a condo. For example, a lot of these condos you see, let's give an example, a 2-bedroom, a nicely furnished unit, could run you $20 million. 20 million pesos, of course, not $20 million. Which, you know, is still a lot of money for a condo in Cebu. But if you got the money, I guess that's no problem. You could leave it hanging there for as long as you want as an investment. And there are a lot of investors that are buying out these condos. And what they're doing is they're, the pre-selling situation where they're buying these condos unbuilt, and they get a little break on the price on a pre-sale. And I think that's what a lot of investors are doing. You don't see a lot of investors really buying older units and keeping them empty. If anything, they're going to rent them out and make a little monthly income and try to, basically have the renters pay for that unit of what you invested in the unit, which is smart too. But don't forget, you have responsibilities too as the owner. You got to maintain the place, because the tenants don't always do a great job, tenants. And it could be problematic. That's why you got to make periodical visits, say hello, how you doing? And meanwhile, you're there for a different reason, to observe whether or not these people are tearing apart your place or not, which is going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to repair. That never happens. But it does. It does. It does. So is a condo unit a good investment? If you really want to live in a city, and it's that important to you, and it's important to you to live near all the conveniences, malls and so forth, restaurants and hospitals, that would be a good choice if you don't mind the trade-off. The trade-up is, this grid traffic situations, pollution, noise, and whatnot. And yes, you actually can hear roosters in the city too, but there are some more modern units that are built very well, and maybe in a certain location where you might not hear all these roosters and dogs and traffic noise. But I have been in buildings on 30th, 40th floor where dogs and sirens and traffic can even be heard all the way up on the 30th, 40th floor or so. So you can't always get away from the noise unless the unit's been built pretty solid. And according to how high the units you want. Now, the other consideration is too, earthquakes. Some people are in fear of that. Now, Art Bell, you know him from Coast to Coast. At one point in the past, he did live in Manila, in the Philippines, in a condo. And, well, there were different elements going on. I don't know if he had threats or some extortion or something was going on with that too, but upon some of the biggest storms and so forth and earthquakes, he's felt the building moving. He didn't really feel safe. So he moved back to the States. I think it was either Nevada or Arizona, one of those places. So there's a lot of considerations you got to make in living in a big city. If you don't care, then, you live in a province. It's a quieter life. And according to where you live, you just may not have all these amenities, but you always have access to it by taking a bus or a ferry or flying over to a big city and getting your fill of big city life for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, whatever length of time that you want to stay there. Go to the malls, go shopping, and, you're getting away and you're able to, experience some of the benefits of being in a big city and what's available as far as different foods that might be available, the various type of restaurants that are available, and, of course, the lovely malls. Can't beat that with a stick, which is basically ground zero for not only the locals, but for the tourists that come into Cebu City. Everybody visits the malls. And truthfully, it's according what your lifestyle is like. There's not really that much to do in Cebu City unless you like hanging around a smelly, seedy old bar with a bunch of drunken old farts. That's something I don't do, would never do. If you want to do the tourist thing, you want to see the statues and whatnot, you could do that all in one shot, but once that's over, well, okay, you saw it all. So what do? Well, I don't know. I guess you just try to absorb local culture. Go to Cologne market area. It's very crowded, polluted, but it's a very interesting place to visit, to see what they're selling down there. And that's like the oldest, part of the Philippines, really, is Cologne market. Or you could just people watch or, pick up your prostitutes like a lot of you guys do, which is, the first or second, if not the first reason that you come to the Philippines. The Philippines has so much more to offer, but living in a big city, you don't necessarily get the feel of what the culture is really all about. There's a different experience between city people and country people, like the provinces and on the island provinces. To get a true understanding of the culture and the people, you would have to go to the provinces and get the real-life experience of what Filipinos are all about and their culture. And you might see a big difference. A lot of people, Filipinos who live in a big city, tend to be a little more educated than province people, but not always the case. But you might even see that they speak better English, if not better Taglish. But there is a difference, and there's also a different exchange of dialogues too, pretty mixed up, because Cebuanos and, Visayan language, is going to be different in Manila. Tagalog I think, is one of them that's spoken in Manila. They may not understand each other unless you have an understanding of both languages. And there, I forgot how many dialects actually in the Philippines, how many languages. It's mind-boggling that they could even communicate with each other at all, but some do very well. If you like peace and quiet, yes, the provinces would be best, but not necessarily. Okay, it's according where you live in the provinces. Do you have a neighbor that's constantly doing the karaoke bit? That could be quite uncomfortable. Are you living in a neighborhood with lots of dogs and roosters? Well, that's pretty typical, and it's also hard to get away from. My area is pretty good. I do hear roosters and chickens because they're, running around wild for the most part. I hear dogs in the background. Occasionally, there is a kennel, which is a couple of blocks away, and the only time I hear those dogs is when feeding time or when the siren goes off and they're all barking because it hurts their ears. Other than that, it's fairly quiet where I live, almost like pastoral, and it has a good balance because you're also very close to the beaches. Very close, actually. Relatively short walk. So the provinces could be a good choice for you if you want a little bit more of a serene life. And not everybody wants that. They want to be where the action is. But I don't know what they mean by action, Watching people get murdered and shot or ripped off, and killings in the street, motorcycle accidents, gridlock traffic, pollution. That's the trade-off you have to make. Some people are forced to live in the city because of health conditions. And I've talked about this before. If you have pre-existing health conditions, don't come to the Philippines unless you could take care of those situations, because it's dire out here of even getting an ambulance to get to you on time and getting to your destination, especially, if you live in the provinces, it's a long way to the big city, to the real hospitals, okay? And finding a physician, surgeon, or whatever that's competent enough to perform whatever it is needed to perform. Perhaps you're getting heart surgery. Of course, you want the best. Hopefully you find somebody who's Western trained. They do exist. But these are all considerations you have to make between city living and country living. I still prefer the country living. I still prefer living close to the beaches. If you live in Cebu proper, it's actually quite a distance to go to the ocean. That's why a lot of people come to Bantayan Island and other areas outside of the Cebu area. And sometimes they don't have to travel too far. But I think it's about maybe 90 miles from Cebu City to where I live. Somewhere around there. But it's worth the trip. It's actually worth the trip. And more and more people are now aware of Bantayan Islands in Santa Fe, a lovely little seaside village that I happen to live in. And they are coming by the droves. And is that good or bad? Well, it's good for the local economy. And, word gets out. They love the beaches and even a few nature parks that's here. And they have a good time. And they leave with a good thought. But one of the things, of course, there is ground pollution, water pollution. And they leave with, a different way of looking at things, because when you come to a place that's ultra clean and the beaches are clean and the grounds around there are clean, you leave with a little better thought. Now you're saying, okay, I love the ocean, it's beautiful, the color. What a nice little seaside town this is. It's lovely. And it is. But there are times when tourists come here, and it doesn't have to be Santa Fe, Bantayan Islands, it could be anywhere else, when people see that maybe they're not upkeeping the town good enough, and there is too much litter around, and it kind of leaves them with a bad impression. But it's just not here. It happens here in Santa Fe, of course, but it's all over. People are not really upkeeping the places unless some big official is coming to town, and then they go out of their way, and everybody's out there sweeping and hooting and hollering, yeah, come visit Santa Fe. It's a beautiful place to be, and yes, it is. Yes, it is. But how about keeping the place clean all the time? And don't worry about some dignitary visiting. But this is actually part of the landscape of the Philippines, and they will go out of their way on a religious holiday to clean up things, or when some dignitary like the governor or somebody is coming to town. So you might ask the question, why are they not doing this on a regular basis? Oh well, but they're not. They're not. It's just, you know, welcome to the Philippines. It's just one bugaboo. That's just the way it is. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. However, it is a lovely place to live. If you don't mind doing the transportation thing back and forth to get to these amenities that you would like. Yeah. Now, would I have lived anywhere other than the Philippines? Yes, there is a consideration. Now, here's the thing. The thing is, I hear so much negativity about the Philippines. And you hear a lot of people call me, oh, well, I'm going to choose to live elsewhere because of everything I'm hearing about the Philippines. These are people that don't live here. You know, the Philippines is a good place to live. And yes, the cost of living is rising out here. And there's a few other countries that are probably has lesser living expenses. And there are. I mean, I know one, my personal choice, which is probably not going to be what you think it is, but I know one that is. And there was a time that I thought about that prior to moving here. But I'm not going to mention where for good reason. But yes, there are places you could get much bigger accommodations for, not saying a fraction of the price, but practically. But Philippines is still a good place, primarily, well, because of the fact the English language, which is real important to me, to live anywhere. Philippines is still a good place, but as I said, the negativity that's going on YouTube is discouraging people from moving to the Philippines. When they're just listening to people who are living here, still living here, and yet they're complaining about the Philippines. That don't make any sense. If you don't like it here, then, you know, move out. But don't start spreading negative attention to the Philippines. They're talking about crime. They're talking about infrastructure. Well, you moved here, right? Didn't you? So you can't afford to complain. You just move out. But yes, I've seen so much, especially in the past year, I've been seeing nothing but negativity about the Philippines, and it's growing. And I'm seeing all the comments too. I'm seeing all the comments. I'm going to show you something. These are new kittens, and this is right where I have my water pump. And Mama Cat found a place to have her little baby kittens. Now, this ain't necessarily good news for me. It's going to be more cats around. Well, I'm just hoping she doesn't abandon these like some of the cats do. But right where my water pump is, my pressure tank, actually, ain't that amazing? Their own little condo there, speaking of condos. But the more I hear, the more I'm saying that all this negativity about the Philippines, I'm scratching my head and saying, well, yeah, okay, share your opinion, and don't forget you're living here. And if you feel that badly about the Philippines, perhaps, just perhaps, maybe it's time for you to move. Or maybe you just don't want any more foreigners out here. I think a lot of people feel we have enough foreigners out here that we don't need any more. But that's not for you to say. No, the Philippines is still unhappy in a sense that it's no longer been on the big list of the best places to go and retire. The less foreigners here, as far as I'm concerned, the better. But that's me. I am enjoying the so-called status quo of living out here. And if I have anything to complain about, I usually talk about it, and I'm very open about it. Yeah, there are things about here that need improvement, Oh, hell, there's no doubt about that at all. I'll be the first to admit it. But it's not a bad place. I could have picked a worse place. You know, bumfuck Egypt or something. I could have done that, but I didn't. But as it turned out, things turned out well for me. I got established and grounded out here. And it's all good. I find it amazing. Speaking of amazing Philippines, Rod's doing a bang-up job there with promoting all this real estate. Rod has entered a different phase. God bless him. God bless him. Why not? He's helping JR a lot. And the people who are selling these or renting these condos. And of course, there's going to be a commission involved with this. You go, boy. You go, boy, Rod. Why not? Why not? He's on a roll. And with the rising costs out here, why shouldn't he make a couple of extra coins per month besides what he makes on his YouTube channel? No law. I think Rod had decided that I just can't be perfect with blurring out people's faces. I mean, this is what I do. There's going to be people in the picture. So Rod's play on this is that he'll do what he can in certain situations, but you can't control everything, especially if that's part of your show. You know, there's going to be maybe the managers in a condo unit or something. Somebody's going to be there. Somebody's going to walk by the screen. I think Rod's being a little careful in the streets, but you just can't be perfect. Now, is the law really enforcing this? I have not heard any stories so far of anybody being fined. There goes Mama Cat. She's sneaking back to her bye-byes. There's Mama Cat. There's Mama Cat. Oh, she ran the other way. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think Rod's being pretty careful what he does. He's got a show that's been on for like, 8 years, whatever it's been. He doesn't want to lose his subs and all that. So he's being a little bit careful. But I've not heard yet of anybody being fined for doing such. I haven't heard anything. So is this a bogus law? Is it really being enforced? I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be a story come out somewhere. Somebody's going to be made an example, probably. Made an example. That's yet to come. That's news out loud. Okay, well, hope you enjoyed my upload. And get used to my new format here of uploads. More to come.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I'm sitting here. If Stank had a life like this, he'd actually be off of YouTube. But hey, Stank, what do you think? What do you think, Stank? No, Stank doesn't work. All right. Hey, Stank, what do you think about the sophisticated look? No matter how good it looks, you're never going to admit that I look a lot sexier than you'll ever be. At your age, yeah, we all reach this age of Stank. Yeah. Oh, this one, Stank. To the halls of Monte. Yeah, such hatred for America, but still collects our Social Security. Earned it by lying and earned it by faking the system. Hey, what do you think, Stank? What do you think, Stank? What do you think? Good? It's called
Obesity could kill you. Nowadays in society, we have different beauty standards, and it's fine to love yourself and love others and show other people with respect. But being morbidly obese, meaning your BMI is above 35, comes with risks. What are some risks that we're worried about? There's a basic cardiovascular disease. You're more likely to get type 2 diabetes because of insulin resistance. You're more likely to get heart attacks and strokes with all these cholesterol building up in your vasculature. You're more likely to get hypoventilation syndrome and obstructive sleep apnea that can cause strain in your heart. When there's so much pressure inside your upper airways that your lungs can't expand, all that pressure backs up and goes into the right side of your heart and can cause all these problems. You're more likely to get gallbladder infections. You're more likely to form stones. You're more likely to have acid reflux. These are all the multiple risks that are associated with obesity. And even just losing 5% of your body weight, there are reported health benefits. And we're going to talk about what are some strategies that we can use to help
obesity kills more people than malnutrition.
So in 2020, I actually had a tweet about this, guys, during COVID, which was basically the statistics around obesity and then the fact that our solution to it is to come out with a new flavor of Doritos. So we have this conversation realizing, yes, that is an obesity statistic, but how is this impacting things like our immune system and our overall health and what's happened, you know, in recent or last 3 to 5 years, really, right? So I think these statistics are important, but also understand when we're listing this information, number one, you may not fall into the obesity statistic yet. That doesn't mean you're in a good state of health. We've still got problems that need to be addressed and need to be fixed. Number two, this isn't just solely a weight loss issue. This is a conversation around cardiovascular disease. This is a conversation around longevity, lifespan, health span, and, you know, what we were talking about with children too. And right now, all this, you know, the conversation we're having around GLP-1s, we have so much funding being shifted towards this pharmaceutical conversation, not realizing, not accounting for really what needs to be done from a nutrition.
Life was so wonderful, a miracle. Oh, it was beautiful, magical. And all the birds in the trees, will they be singing so happily? Oh, joyfully, oh, playfully, watching me.
This song is very catchy, especially.
With extreme dedication to exercising and improving his diet, this man successfully lost weight. But he also demonstrates why you shouldn't let yourself get too overweight. Because even after losing it, there are consequences.
I get it. You know, I gained the weight, I lost the weight. Look at this. But, like, this is just like a lot of extra skin, like everywhere.
Fat people are allowed to eat what they want without feeling guilty about it.
For sure.
Get over it.
Dribble, dribble. You know, right in.
Well, I give you folks a real incredible amount of things to think about today, especially. But there's a reason for that. Nobody is promised a tomorrow, and you got to keep that in mind. And what you do with yourself, the bad or the good, is going to influence your life. How good you feel, what train of thought you have, whether you're bitter, happy, or just indifferent, your lifestyle, your level of activities, and so on. What you do with your life is not, or should be not, influenced by somebody else. After all, it's your body, mind, soul, and it's your life. As such, you live your life. However, there are parameters in your own life that you have to follow. Unless you just really don't care about yourself, and it's that deep, and you're in so deep in your life, and you're stepping in piles of shit constantly, it's time to clean those shoes and not step into shit. Only you can get your life together. It's not up to anybody else to save you. It's not up to anybody else really to give you advice. It's not anybody else to bail you out financially. Sometimes you have to stand on your own 2 feet and be a man. For those that are very dependent on the help of other people, you're shorting yourself of being a man, of taking charge of your life, having endeavors and following your goals, following your dreams until you get to that point where you could say, yep, I achieved my goal. I am at where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm at. I am happy with what I achieved. Not everybody succeeds at that. I think I came to the point where I have, I think most of all the above, I would really say that. But not everybody can do that. I still could do amazing things at my age, and I don't want to make myself sound older than I am. I'm not 90 years old. I'm just a sprite man who entered his 70, period. And I did that. And I'm still here. And I'm still vibrant. I still have a lot of energy. And I haven't given up on any goals. It's really a state of mind, but sometimes it takes a little bit of helping yourself to achieve what you think might be the unachievable. Some people have totally given up on themselves and accepted their situation. Whether you're obese and you want to lose weight, but you find it hard to do. When you think about it, you have two choices. Lose weight, be great. Lose weight, live a little bit longer. Keep your weight. You are robbing yourself of very valuable years of your life to achieve many of the endeavors that you had hoped to achieve, even at a later age. It's never too late to accomplish things that you've always wanted to accomplish. That goes for everyone. How are you helping yourself? Now, I've done a shitload of videos, especially today. I had a little fun today. I needed it. It was one of those days. And the point being made is that without self-awareness, there's no achievement. Can you see yourself, if you're not in your 70s already, can you see yourself where you haven't reached your goals, not even close? You just mimic life and you say that you're killing it, but you know you're really not. You know you're just killing yourself. A very famous speech of mine, or use of words. Where you remain stagnant, nothing moves, not even your body. You just go on your YouTube channel. Oh, and what can I say about Frank? Well, there's a lot to say about yourself, never mind me. I'm doing okay, thank you very much. What you should be worried about is yourself. Now, it's not exactly a secret that the majority of the YouTubers on here, well, the trolls anyway, are obese or morbidly obese. I never put a gun to their head and say, eat, motherfucker, eat. Or don't exercise. Or to come on your YouTube channel and become hateful. Meanwhile, you're really hating yourself and you're very bitter about everything in your life. Isn't that the truth? I know. Truth hurts. And you get offensive and defensive and all that stuff. We've been through that 1,000 times. Well, buckaroos, maybe it's time to think about yourself. Maybe. Maybe overdue, maybe too late, perhaps, for some people. And as I always say, that life is so goddamn short. Try to do, I don't know, something that's good in your life. Anything. Achieve something. You don't have to achieve greatness. Achieve something in your life. Go back and see something that you didn't do in your younger years, or maybe you could still do now, or maybe wanted to do. And no excuse that you can't do it, because that, to me, is a complete cop-out. There is no excuse in accomplishing things. Some people just give up. Say, I can't do it. Let me tell you something. I'm no big muscle man. I'm not a tall guy. I don't worry about my height. And no, I'm not 5'2". I always like to throw that in there. But you know what? I got more energy than most of you people out here. We'll prove that on another upcoming show in the future. And what I may do on camera, I'd like to see any one of these 60-plus-year-olds do what I can do even in a couple of minutes. We'll see. That'll be another show in the future. I'll let you know when. But the point being is that if you don't do something right now to enjoy your life, if you don't find somebody that's special in your life, that's going to be there for you, hold your hand when the time comes, man. You know, that's a big thing. Somebody there not to be your indentured slave or servant like some expats treat their Filipinas, and that's they certainly do. Cook, bitch. Time to fuck, bitch. And we know some people that are exactly like that, that have that attitude where they think Filipinas are all hoes. That's the scum of our society right there. That's the lowest class of people on YouTube and around the world that you could find that think in that manner, to look at women like they are of a lesser class than they are, that they're not equals. Well, women are equals. They're different from us. Most of the time, they're built differently. Okay? They have tits too, but some guys have tits. Okay? But at the same time, you can't suck off the tits of society all your life either. Expect everything to fall on your lap. Donations, or making people feel sorry for you, or by running a hate show about somebody and saying, because of my hate show, and since my channel is all made up of trolls, what a great opportunity. What a great opportunity to beg for donations. When you've been begging all your life, don't even want to go and visit your own children. That's when it's over. That's when it's done. That's when you're so absolutely self-serving, horribly self-serving, that you're not caring about important people in your family. If you could at all help and change the situation, if you have that kind of situation, well, if it's possible, you change it, but you have to be in your kid's life. You have to forget about moving to Southeast Asia, and you have to go and take an aeroplane to the country of where your children are. And there's no lame excuses to qualify this. There shouldn't be any lame excuses with this. And there is, and we hear this all the time with a particular vlogger. Yeah, someday, who said I wasn't going to go? Who said I wasn't going to go? Now, we've heard this time and time and time and time and time again. There's no more excuses, pal. Now, it might be too late for you. I don't know. Might be too late. For all I know, you don't even have a relationship with your children at all. Maybe they want nothing to do with you. Oh, that sounds familiar. Isn't you said that about me? My memory's pretty good. So, I guess what I'm saying on here is you are in control of your own destination in life. You want to get off at the next stop and be able to get off at the next stop in your journey. Stop being selfish and be selfless. Respect others. Because karma is a bitch. You don't have to marry one. But karma is a bitch, and it is vicious. And I've seen it happen here on YouTube before, numerous times. So mouth off all you want. You're not hurting anybody but yourself. You're just hurting yourself in so many ways. Enjoy my shorts. I had fun putting them together. Think about what I said. I'm the one sitting here snickering. I'm the one. I'm the fly on the wall listening to these shows when I can. And I'm laughing. Because even though I might be older than some of them, I got more energy and spunk than probably all of them together. Why? Well, I'm not the most active person in the world, but I do try to be active through exercising so much. I do other things with my diet and supplementation. There's a lot of things I do. I don't act, look, dress, talk old. Henceforth, in my mind, I am not old. I'm old when that time comes, and I know I'm old, and it's not by numbers, my friends. has nothing to do with numbers. It's attitude. And it's not always altitude either. Thanks for listening. I don't know what's going on in the Philippines, but there's a lot of different things happening. Now, I think it was bad enough that they changed the ability to stay as much as 6 months down to 2 months, and that's turning a lot of people off. And tourism is going to be affected. There's just so much shit going on right now. I was listening to a show, this British guy, and he lives over near the Mindanao area, and he has a 13A. But there are people with 13As, SRFRVs, that are being questioned by police, wanting to check their passports, wanting to check and ask all kinds of questions on how long you've been here, and, you know, and the whole history, and, you know, your endeavors and stuff. So there's been a lot of strange things going on, and I can't say that I know exactly what it is and why they're coming down on so many people. As legal as you might be here, that seems to be what's happening. I'm not saying I'm surprised to actually hear this, but I don't know what the government is actually doing. It seems to me that everybody's in a situation out here where they got to look over their shoulder regarding governmental issues and tissues, and it's not becoming the friendly place to go. Now, the people are friendly, but I don't think that's ever going to change. The government is not being very friendly, and more people are being policed out here, questioned, and I understand in certain situations why, but to go house to house in different parts of the Philippines, which I'm hearing now, and going into people's private lives and checking into people's passports and documentation, it's getting a little ridiculous. Now, all I've been seeing on different shows, not all I've been seeing, but I've seen a lot of this, is that people are really, really getting pissed off. They don't feel like they can stay here. They don't feel that they're welcome here from the government. The invasion of privacy, yes. They don't feel like this is a place to come to retire. And I'm hearing more and more comments about people saying, I was thinking of coming to the Philippines, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to go to some other Southeast Asian country or elsewhere, maybe to Europe. But I'm hearing this a lot. And I mean, I actually am. I'm seeing the comments on people's shows, and a lot of people changing their mind. It's like a tsunami of people that are, you know, they're waiting for that wave to come, and some of them don't want to wait for that wave to come. They're going to take action and say, I'm changing my plans. I'm going elsewhere. I guess it has changed here. You know, I've been here quite a while. I've seen a few changes, but the one thing I know that drives the economy out here is absolutely tourism. No, they didn't. No, they haven't. But tourism is what drives this country. And that's where a lot of people are baffled. Because they want to find a place to retire. They heard so much good about the Philippines. Friendliness of the people, relatively cheap to live here, although there's other Southeast Asian countries that are actually cheaper than the Philippines. I don't know why the Philippines has become so expensive, but I know that there are a lot of people being taxed out of their businesses. There's a lot of shit going on. I know for real that there are businesses in town that are now going to be asked to pay higher taxes that's going to affect small communities, apparently, when people are reliant on their local customers for their business, but they got to keep their profit margin in the right place, so it's not worth having a business when you're going to be taxed out of your business. So there's a lot of things happening, and there's, more stuff that goes over my head on some of this stuff, but I know it's happening, and the atmosphere has changed on attitudes about the Philippines. This is some real shit that's going on here. There's been, of course, so much negative talk here throughout social media, of course, that I have personally read, and I'm sure a lot of you all have probably read it too. Very negative opinions about. I mean, YouTubers are really just knocking the Philippines, and other people read this, and they're saying, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if any more foreigners come here, but be realistically, really honest about it, but it will affect the economy out here. And this is how people make a living, predominantly. Just like you see on these movies, whether it was Jaws or whatever the movie was, when they knew imminent danger was coming, but, the mayor would always say, well, this is tourist season. We can't, this is where we make our money during the summer, tourist season. We can't have any, can't scare the tourists out. But in fact, they are doing that because there's too many rules. There's too many situations that you have got to abide by now. And, it's really hitting up tourism really kind of hard. Anyway, that's my observation. You don't have to agree with me, but this is what I'm hearing, and this is what I've been reading. I do read people's comments on shows, and not maybe some of the shows that you probably think I listen to, but I listen to all kinds of different shows on here. If it's related to the Philippines and they're talking about it, I'll probably hear about it. But just from reading the comments, I've seen people saying more than, a lot of times, that I think I'm going to change my plans. I mean, I'm hearing too much about crime. I'm hearing about how, as a foreigner in this country, you don't stand a chance to any kind of, you can't stand up against the government. In other words, if they're trying to say that you got to look over your back and watch how you blink your eye, it's becoming a kind of a more so of a militaristic government, which I've always thought it was anyway. I mean, come on, when you go in front of a small store, you see a guy there with an automatic big-ass fucking rifle. I mean, what does that say? And I've never seen that in America. Sometimes you'll see him in front of a 7-Eleven store. Banks, I could understand. But boy, there's a lot of them at the banks, in and out. They don't let you in, at least the bank I go to here is locked. There's a guard in front with a big old rifle, sawed-off shotgun, looks like. There's a guy inside the door that locks it and lets the people in individually. I don't know if you've ever witnessed that, but I do all the time. Okay, Randy says there's a famous I'm the one that put that on. Yeah, I don't know about him being a famous vlogger. I don't know if he is or not, but he sort of liked what he's seen. He didn't think the town was like really exciting, but I think that's a positive reference to the Maldives. I'm guessing it is, although I've never been to the Maldives. Norwegian, Reykjavik, yeah. Well, it is a nice place. It's not a dusty island like creeps like to say on here. It's a nice place. I could have lived anywhere I wanted to in the Philippines. I chose it here because I was familiar with it. And I knew about the white sand beaches and all that. I knew about the climate of the town, and I don't mean the weather. I knew what the town was all about. I knew what the people were all about for the most part. They were friendly people. It was just a lovely little seaside village, and I thought it was charming, and it still is. You know, it's not too overrun with development here. The biggest development is a 11-story, you can see it all over the island, 11-story condo complex. It's going to have a small casino in there. And you can see this structure, because this is the highest structure on the island. Yeah, he went over to Paradise Beach, also known under another name. And the reason the guy was paying 70 pesos, because it was privately owned, actually. Land over there, anyways, privately owned. Yeah, I've only heard good about where I live. It's the trolls that only wish they lived here, that wish they wish they lived here. So they got to knock my town besides knocking me. But, you know, what do you expect? Ego is always trashing Bantayan in the Philippines. Of course he is, because he don't live here. Well, he's trashing Philippines because he can't go back to the Philippines and stay there forever. I guess he had some pending problems in the Philippines, or could be pending problems according to the mood of something, or some mood changes with somebody or something like that. He's being very cautious. I'm not going to say anything more than that. Of course, you're going to trash the Philippines. Yeah. There's a lot of people that just can't make it here, you know. Look, I've survived this so far, you know. And as I said, I had money to live anywhere I wanted to, especially when I sold my house in Hawaii. I could have moved to any part of the Philippines at will. You could have found a place anywhere. It's not that I've seen all these places, but you see, I already knew about Santa Fe. I wanted to go where I felt comfortable, where I knew about, rather than taking a chance somewhere else. If I had another opportunity, would I take it to go out of Bantayan? I don't think so. I don't think so. We know too many people here. Of course he's going to trash Bantayan. What do you expect? Paradise Beach Island is beautiful. I'm surprised it's so empty. Well, that's because the day it was, he was there, and I don't think it was a weekend or nothing. Well, also, every, what is it, once or twice a year, the jellyfish come in. Yeah, that's true. Like he's looking at the sign in that video. Well, there's a new study out there, and it's very interesting. Well, let's first get back to Kiki in the Philippines. I said, well, what's the prognosis there, buddy? Well, the doctor said to stay off Viagra. Well, the information I had is that Kiki had to have some kind of heart valve treatment. Now, here's the thing. What came first, the chicken or the egg, is the question. Well, Mr. Researcher that I tend to be, is saying that before you Romeos want to attempt to go on Viagra to keep that action going, if you know what I'm saying, it is better that you confer with a physician or have testing done to see if you have any underlying heart conditions. Now, this is the problem. The problem is most people don't know if they have any underlying heart conditions, and they decide to take Viagra, otherwise known as sildenafil, and its, well, chemical name. As such, they're taking a chance. Now, some of the side effects of sildenafil could be heartburn, it could be, well, flushing of the face, it could be, there's a number of things on there they were talking about, but I think those are some of the common things. But if it's reoccurring all the time, or if you're chest pain, it seems like you'll feel angina. Angina can be a warning system. Angina is basically a seemingly kind of a heart pain, or seems like a heartburn pain. Okay, so having a little bit of communication with Kiki in the Philippines. He's not coming out with all the info. And as such, I don't know all the answers. Because at one point he said he had heart valve problems. I said, well, what's the newest and the latest on that? I asked him. He said the doctor said, don't take Viagra, which is indicative of having some heart problems. For example, if you're on nitrates for your heart, you're not supposed to take Viagra. So the bottom line is that there's a lot of people who are engaging in the use of the little blue pill to be the powerhouse in the bed, and they don't know whether this is going to kill them or not. Some say I'll die with a smile on my face. Some might die in agony. So unless you really know whether you have any underlying health problems with your heart, it's been advised not to take the little blue pill and check with your doctor to test. This is the information that these companies don't want to tell you. Of course, this is big pharma, and they're making a lot of money off that pill and all its other different products, not just Viagra. There are different similar products for that. So, having, again, here we go with the obesity thing. It's probably advisable for those that are obese, that might have potential heart-related problems, to not take the little blue pill, your little friend, until you can get the okay from your physician. And that means scans, do some scans. And by the way, they do have low-density CT scans that are not going to be harmful to you. By the way, just to let you know, it's just a fraction of the, radiation that comes from that, in case you didn't know that. So if you really want to check your lungs out, you want to check something out, there's more of a, I guess it's like a low-density radiation compared to the extreme. If you got like a full CT scan, the power level, which is actually higher. So if you're having trouble in that department, don't go to the next floor. Go to your doctor. Have them check you out before you start taking the little blue pill. Your life may depend on it. Now, I give you information as it comes to me. And I was thinking about Kiki's situation, who is, he's been obese all his life and admittedly takes Viagra. And the doctor told him, you just can't take Viagra anymore. Well, Kiki, first of all, didn't know initially that he had heart problems. Supposedly something to do with his heart valve. That's most as I know. I don't really communicate with the guy. I just occasionally go on his channel, leave a comment or something and say, what's up, what's the new news or whatever. And the latest and greatest was just, I said, what did the doctor say? He said, well, not to use Viagra anymore. And that's about all I got out of him. I said, you make your little future plans? He says, yeah, I'm going to be cremated. It's cheaper. I said, well, you know what? Cremation is not cheap. It's actually expensive out here. And they don't give the ashes to the loved ones if you have any. You're going to have a plot to bury the ashes. Now, that's the difference between here and the United States. I don't know if it's for a price or whatever it is. They'll give your ashes to the loved ones. And you could have a lovely little urn. They have all kinds of decorator urns, fancy urns, simple urns. I don't know why you want to spend a lot of money on it anyway. But they'll allow that in the United States. For some reason out here, it's a money thing. It's always a money thing. They will not, you will not be able to retrieve the ashes out here. That's my understanding. They have to be buried. I don't know. I didn't make the rules up. This is what I understand out here. Somebody passes away. They want to be cremated. The family just can't go in there and say, okay, I'll take my relative's ashes I say, no, you're not going to get anything here. It ain't going in your hands. You got to have a burial plot. I could suggest to people over at St. Peter's or something like that. So you have to go on to buy a plot. So it just costs you about, I don't know, 60,000 pesos and above. Probably more than that for cremation. And then you have to spend a couple $100,000 on a plot somewhere. So you can't get away cheap in life, and you can't get away cheap in death either. The family absorbs the burden. Do you want the ashes, or you don't care? Well, I don't know. I think there'd be a lot of families that say, hey, do what the fuck you want with the ashes. Get an ashtray for it. But that's kind of like the rules out here. Yes, I know it's strange where you can't be in possession of the ashes, but that's the information that I know on that. And you could look it up yourself if you don't believe what I'm saying, but that's what I understand to be true. I could ask my confidant here. Gilda May, is it true out here they will not give you your ashes, some loved one who dies? Is that the situation out here? You have to bury it, you have to have a plot.
Yeah, you need to bury your corpse.
So in other words, they're not going to give the ashes to the family for no reason. Is that what?
Yes,
Is that a yes, Gilda, or is that a no?
Yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes some families, they don't want to bury the ashes. They put in the house, but in the Catholic,
the
they don't allowed to put the ashes
good old
in
Catholics.
the house.
Yeah, good old Catholics. In the Catholic community out here, it's not like that in the United States, I'll tell you that. Oh man, the Vatican's really got a hold of the Philippines. No, they won't allow you to take the ashes, but I guess you pay them a little side money to the church or something or whatever, a court or whatever, a crematorium. Yeah, they'll probably give you the ashes. It's a grim subject, but actually just came up over a very slight community.
Before,
go ahead.
Before, it's okay, the ashes in you can put in
They
the
allowed it
house,
before.
yeah. But now, no.
They're not allowing it anymore. And may I ask, what is the reason for that? Is there a reason behind that?
I don't know.
You don't even know.
But
It's just another way of people making money. Oh yeah, if you want the ashes, I could rent a man, a good pal of mine that runs this funeral, a cemetery, and they make a little commission. You have to buy a cemetery plot, could run you a lot of money according to what you want. Location, under a nice shady tree. You know, what the fuck does it matter? You're dead. Whether you're under a nice shady tree, you have some nice scenery, you're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You know, and plots could range anywhere from 150,000 to, you know, mathematically, it's just a hell of a lot more than that, according to location, location, location. Everything is location. So in case you didn't know that, and another thing is they won't release your body from the morgue unless the family claims it and presents a funeral plot or whatever, and they'll keep it in there. How long will they keep a body in a morgue, Gilda? I mean, nobody comes to claim the body. How long will they keep a body in a morgue?
I don't know.
Till somebody claims, but they'll keep it in cold storage. You're not giving that body to the family. They are very money oriented out here, I'll tell you that. That they are. So there you go. A little more information you probably never knew. Sildenafil. Well, check with your favorite physician. Have tests done before you decide to go on a regimen of such nature to enhance your carnal activities, because that one pill could be your last if you have underlying heart conditions that you are not aware of. And I imagine a lot of you studs out there are probably popping them like M&Ms. Well, probably not a good idea. We know Ricky does that. He showed a whole bowl of them. Now, of all the people that shouldn't be taking it, I would think he's a ideal candidate. And I could think of another few individuals that probably shouldn't be taking it unless they got a clean bill of health. Clean bill of health. There goes the siren on the military state here, telling people it is a curfew. If you're under a certain age, get in the house. You're violating the law if you're out on the street when the siren goes off at 9 o'clock. Is this a military country or is it not? You decide. I made my decision. You wonder why tourists are not flocking in here anymore. I guess there's a lot of information going out that's discouraging people, but some of it is a fault of a lot of vloggers on here who are always talking so negative about the Philippines. It's not that bad of a place. You know, over 9.5 years here has told me that, you know, it's not that extreme. It may seem that way, but if you're an actual, underlying actual lawbreaker, then it could be a difficult place to live, as few people have found out. Yeah. Build it and they shall come. And they're rolling in here now. If you just tuned in, I was just talking about sildenafil, and you know what that is. Yeah. If you have underlying heart conditions, you should be checking. And I'm putting 2 and 2 together with this Kiki in the Philippines dude. Yeah, he says that the doctor said don't take any of those Viagra meds. If you have underlying heart condition, it's one of those situations. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Did it cause the heart problems, or did he cause a problem by taking the little blue pill because he had no idea that he had underlying heart problems? Well, you know, it's really simple mathematics, really. There's a better than good chance that if you've been obese the best part of your life, that you may have some heart valve problem, you know, clogged arteries, all the way down the line. And it's probably a good idea that you actually do confer with your physician if you suspect any of the above. Now, it's not really a bad idea. It's a good investment. Some people don't want to spend the money to do that, but we have a lot of Romeos out there who want to engage in all kinds of sexual theatrics, and they reach for the blue pill, not knowing what's going to happen, if it might be their last tango in Paris, if you know what I'm talking about. Just a little bit of information out there for those who care, and I should really stop helping you people out. I don't know. Why am I giving you such valuable information? I don't know. Maybe because I can, or maybe I'm just a nice guy. But I don't get much out of this in return, really. This is worth good money, this information. Well, it is, Randy. It's serious shit. I mean, unless you've had tests and EKGs and all that stuff, you got arrhythmia, or, my God, if you have a pacemaker. I mean, seriously, and you're obese, okay, of course. I would definitely get yourself checked out before you go in that direction. Yeah. I mean, it's just a wise idea to do. But don't listen to me. I'm never right. I'm never right. You know. And some people think it's like popping an M&M, but it's not true. The process involved, what goes on with taking that, and then was it the nitric oxide in your bloodstream to relax the smooth muscle, and it's just not the smooth muscle in your pecker, but there are other smooth muscles in your body, and don't forget your heart is a muscle, In case you forgot that. Yeah, I think that's the biggest muscle in your body. Buyer beware. Buyer beware. Now, I would say there's no reason for very young people to be recreationally taking that. I don't see why they would need to, quite frankly. But some people fool around with drugs recreationally, which is not always the wisest idea, as some have found out. It could have some side effects that are not exactly pleasant, according to your health, may even kill you. And I guess that's a subject I never really heavily got into on here. But just some facts to put your way. And I'll push this subject on obesity till I either drop dead or I get knocked off YouTube or whatever. But I'm going to push this and push this and push this and push this until it sinks in. Now, why should I care? There's trolls out there I don't like, and what do I care if they drop dead? Well, that would be an interesting way of looking at it, but I'm not that cold. You know, I'm not that cold. I'm very warm-hearted, as everybody knows. So, something else, I've given you so much to think about lately. Now, I just gave you a little bit more. For those of you that have been pretty much dependent on taking these little gems to prove to the woman what a stud you are. Well, that, as I said, could be your last tango in Paris. Most people don't know they have underlying heart conditions unless something happens. They get chest pain, they get some symptoms. It's your body trying to tell you something, so refrain. Until you know what's going on, if you have a heart problem, refrain from the use of such substance. Your life may depend on it. Don't worry about pleasing the gals, okay? That's your big concern. I understand, but before you go that direction, you know, maybe try a little foreplay. You may not even need those little blue pills. You might be surprised. Instead of jumping on her and drawing a target on her, here I come, literally. Come on, I had the whole show about pleasuring her instead of just yourself. You may not need that to become used to taking it. Whatever your situation may or may not be, you may not even need it. Try a little glass of wine. A little Barry White, not Barry J, but a little Barry White music, you know, a glass of red wine to relax you, get your mind rested. Then a little bit of intimacy. You know, don't just like draw a target and here I come, baby. Come on now. Come on now. That's so infantile, prepubescent or whatever. Please, you're a beautiful Filipina. It's not all about you. It's not all about you. You think it is, but it's not all about you. All right, I gotta go. But nevertheless, this time you might want to take my advice on that. Give second thoughts to utilizing this little pill to show your prowess. You may not even need it. Try a little love and affection that could go a long, long way. And all the time you thought that that's what you needed the whole time, when you didn't. But most importantly, your own health. If you doubt that your health is in good condition, that you have a good heart, especially if you're obese. I would definitely get a second opinion on that. Too much strain on the heart, blood flow falling away from the heart, going to that special area. Could make the difference between life and death. Good night, folks.